17 local and international banks are going to be prosecuted by the Competition Tribunal for widespread collusion in fixing the price of the rand. The Commission has been investigating a case of price fixing and market allocation in the trading of foreign currency pairs involving the rand since April 2015. It's found that from at least 2007, the banks colluded. Some of the banks implicated are ABSA, Standard Bank, Barclays and HSBC. 14 of the 17 banks will have to pay a penalty equal to 10% of their annual turnover.
Well, for more on the story now, we're in conversation with Owen Nkomo, Executive Partner at Inkunzi Wealth Group. Owen, good evening to you and welcome. And by any accounts, this is a massive scandal. What exactly are the currency traders accused of?
Well, the currency traders are being accused of basically colluding in price fixing in the market. And I think we have seen this last year when the news broke, that there were some investigations happening. And we've seen this happen as well internationally when currency traders have been accused of colluding and, influencing the prices where the rand should trade. And I think that the guys successfully got prosecuted internationally. And this is probably what we'll see happening here at home, where the guys probably got together over chats on Bloombergs and via WhatsApp and all of those other communication modes to kind of decide where certain levels of the rand would be reached and at what time. So unfortunately, it looks to me like the authorities have got to the end of the stick now. And
as you say, this is similar to perhaps cases that have been investigated previously in the United States and the United Kingdom.
Yes, most definitely, and we've seen big fines being levied against these banks. And I think one of the banks in the UK actually paid like $6 billion to address one of these cases. And we saw similar charges against some American banks as well before. And I think it's something that actually, without making it sound like it's right, it's terrible what's happening, but it's more like an industry norm as it is turning out to be, because most of these currency traders are part of a very small community. And I think that, being that close, the temptation is very high that, they get tempted to do things like this.
So what you're saying is it would be relatively easy for them to affect this kind of collusion?
Most definitely it would be. I think until probably mid last year, most of the international banks allowed their traders to communicate with other people outside their bank using Bloomberg's chat messenger tool or Reuters chat messenger tool. So, the guys will create networks and stuff like that amongst a few guys that could trade. And I think that's where most of the communication would happen. So definitely it's easy to have affected something like this in my view.
I suppose it raises questions, does it not, of proper oversight within the banking institutions themselves?
Yeah, so what most of the banks have done now, they've either taken away those chat systems or they've made sure that the chat systems are internally logged, so all conversations that happen can only happen within the banks. They've done their best really to increase the security. But it remains to be seen because there's quite a lot of other alternative ways for people to communicate, And I think there will be some banks that probably fall at the back of the queue in terms of improving compliance. And for that reason, the market will always be susceptible to such kind of behavior and manipulation in prices.
Put the fine or the penalty into some sort of perspective for us. 14 of the 17 banks will possibly have to pay a penalty equal to 10% of their annual turnover. That is fairly punitive.
It's extremely punitive, and I think what you will find will happen is that some of the banks will come to the fore and say, look, we have done prosecutions, we've done our own internal processes and we've got rid of these guys who are colluding. I know for a fact that some of the banks have done that already, but some banks are yet to do those internal investigations. But what I think will probably happen, maybe the banks will get together and negotiate in the same manner as the construction cartel has basically done, work with the government or these regulators and try and reach some sort of amicable level. Because otherwise, I don't think the government and the regulators are out to kill these banks, but they're just out to kill this behavior, which is a cancer, in my view, to our systems, which are highly regarded globally for being very efficient in terms of our, compliance and things like that.
And that's the final question to you. That reputation of compliance that we have surely is in tatters this evening.
Yes, it is definitely in tatters. And I'll say one thing, Jeremy. The currency market is very different and it's very difficult to monitor because it's just so big. And generally speaking, it's difficult to influence currency prices. So that's why I'm not surprised that there's quite a lot of big international banks here who would have used very big balance sheets to try and affect the movement in the currencies. But definitely the reputation of the compliance teams does come to question here.
Owen Nkomo, thank you very much indeed. Executive partner through to Newsnight at the Inkunzi Wealth Group.
Well, South African Airways is set to take another massive financial hit. The South Gauteng High Court has ordered the airline to pay competitor Comair more than R1 billion. In the early 2000s, Comair accused SAA of incentivizing travel agents to sell its products over those of its competitors. The Competition Commission intervened and a settlement was reached in 2006. In spite of this, Comair kept pushing legal action, and the incentive scheme has now been found to be anti-competitive. Comair operates a number of airlines, including Kulula.com and British Airways.
Around 25 past the hour. Headlines in a moment, but before that.
Newsnight weather.
Hi there everyone and welcome to the Weather Centre. Afternoon thunder showers have developed today over parts of the interior from Gauteng into the Northern Cape as well as the Free State and down into the Eastern Cape. There have also been a couple of showers reaching parts of our east coast. It's been an especially hot